guys, what's up? It's Erica. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making a video talking about what my experience was rushing a sorority in college. I've been out of college for over a year. Greek life was not a huge part of my college experience, but it was a part of it, and I just wanted to talk to you guys about my experience with it. Ultimately, I think Greek life can be great for some people, and for some people it's just definitely not their thing, and for me it's not really my thing, but I really wanted it to be my thing for a really long time, and I'm just going to talk to you guys about my experience and kind of like realizing that maybe Greek life wasn't actually something that I wanted to do and be a part of. I just thought I did. For those of you who don't know, I went to Cal Poly SLO. I was a construction management major and I graduated at the end of 2019. It took me an extra quarter to graduate. Well, I started my freshman year in 2015. I had signed up for recruitment, but I was super shy, super anxious. I almost didn't even go to Cal Poly, and the week that you rush, at least when I was a freshman, was the first week of school, and I was so overwhelmed. I could not have handled having to adjust to a new school, going to new classes, and then rushing and having to meet all these new people and talk to people and try to act like presentable and put together. So my freshman year, I did not end up going through recruitment, but definitely my whole freshman year, I wanted to be a part of it. I had heard that like some houses would recruit during the winter or the spring, some of them that maybe had girls that dropped and needed more people, but I was never like in the loop enough to know when those things were happening. I think you had to have like friends who were in the house that would kind of fill you in on when that was happening. But that was something that I had wished I had done my freshman year, and honestly looking back, I think maybe if I would have done that, it could have been a good experience. Freshman year went by and I was not in a house, but I told myself that at the beginning of my sophomore year, I would go through the recruitment process because I felt like I was missing out on dances and meeting more people. I definitely feel like that if you are a part of Greek life, the time that it matters the most is your freshman year and probably your sophomore year too, where you're still meeting new people, you can become really involved, you have time to root yourself in this group of people and to find yourself in the group. So I went through the recruitment process my sophomore year. I forget where I heard this, and I don't know if it was true or if someone was just trying to console me, but ultimately I did not end up in a house during this process. I was told that my freshman class had so many people that had joined that they had so many sophomores in their classes that following year. They like to have somewhat of an equal number of freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors. So I guess I was told that sophomores were gonna have a really difficult time getting into a house, but I do know plenty of sophomores that did. I've also heard that they do prefer getting freshmen in because obviously freshmen are brand new to the school. They're gonna be way more involved probably than someone who's already somewhat established at school. Through this process, I actually really enjoyed myself when I was rushing. I enjoyed a lot of the conversations that I had with the girls. It was super tiring. This was the first year that Cal Poly started school on a Thursday, and we had always started on a Monday, or at least like my freshman year we started on a Monday, and then ever since that year we had always started on a Thursday. I don't know if it's still the same, but I'm guessing it is. And I think we started recruitment on that Monday, and by that weekend, or maybe the following Monday, I think was bid night. Looking back, I wish I would have filmed this whole experience. I think it would have been a really good video, but that was like 4 years ago at this point. So ultimately when I went into it, I had an idea in my head that I really wanted to be an AOPI. If you look at like the Greek ranks, it probably ranks in the middle tier. I didn't really have many like close friends that were in Greek life, but from the people that I knew and met in my dorm that were in that house, I felt like I was more similar to them than pretty much any other group of girls that I had met. But I think probably on the third day I was dropped from that house. Ultimately, when it got to pref night, I had Alpha Phi and Alpha Gamma Delta left, which Alpha Gamma Delta is not even there anymore. They had started my freshman year, was their first year on campus, and unfortunately they just were never able to have enough girls and maintain enough numbers for their nationals to continue funding, or I don't exactly know how it all works, but they eventually disbanded. So I went to pref night, and pretty much just because Alpha Gamma Delta was brand new and I think they had kind of struggled to get people to join, I was kind of like less attracted to that option, and in my head I wanted something that was like established, have more of the classic sorority experience. Alpha Gamma Delta didn't have a house at that point. I think they were still becoming established on campus. A large part of why I wanted to be in Greek life was just to like mingle with boys and frats and get invited to more parties and be in the know of like when parties were. I always felt a little bit out of the know when I wasn't in Greek life, especially in those younger years where you kind of just like hear things through other people. So if you're not a part of a group with older people, it's like you just kind of know less of what's going on, in my opinion. I went to both pref nights and I honestly enjoyed myself at both of the houses. When I was at the Alpha Phi house, I was talking with this girl. Basically that night they have like one or maybe two people that talk to you for this hour-long period. There are all these rules that girls who are, I don't even know the word, for the girls who are like leading recruitment and who are talking to the potential new members have to follow. They're not allowed to, I don't think they're allowed to hug them. They're not allowed to say like, see you soon, or like, we really want you, or anything that implies that that person will be coming back, because no one can guarantee that someone is in a house until like they're actually in the house. Because they have like voting nights every night, and I think they go through everybody and pick who they want in the house. So you're just not allowed to say anything that could mislead someone to believe that they have an invitation back. When I was at Alpha Phi, I don't think it was on purpose. The girl that I was talking to, this is so long ago, but she said something along the lines of, it's not really up to whether we like you anymore, it's just up to whether you want to be a part of us. So in my head I was like, oh, like I've managed a pref night, like this just means that I'm in, and they pretty much will give a bid to anyone who attends their pref night, and it just depends on what I end up picking. I was getting really excited, thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a part of Alpha Phi. If you look at Greek rank, they're ranked pretty high. I was looking for a lot of external validation and thinking in my head like, I'm gonna be a part of Alpha Phi. That just sounded, I hate that I bought into it, but I completely did. I thought that I was gonna be so happy, suddenly so popular, that it must mean that I was like pretty and boys are gonna be like, oh my god, she's an Alpha Phi. I've struggled with self-confidence, and I think probably almost everyone out there has. This feeling of being accepted into a group that seems like out of your league and exclusive is like a good feeling. The last night that you meet with your recruitment counselor, they have you sign this sheet that basically says whether you get a bid from both houses, whether you will accept it, or if there's only one house that you will accept a bid from. I knew that I didn't want to be in Alpha Gamma Delta, and I didn't want to attend bid night unless I was getting a bid from Alpha Phi, because I knew I didn't want to be a part of Alpha Gamma Delta, and so in my head I didn't want to like show up and open up an envelope while everyone's cheering and then be let down that I didn't get into the house that I wanted, and then just kind of like the awkward of like, what do I do? Do I go meet with all the girls, or like do I just go home? So I filled out the form that said, like, basically if I didn't get into Alpha Phi, they would call me to tell me not to show up to midnight. And I was in a math tutoring session, and of course I get a phone call and they're like, sorry, like you didn't end up getting a bid from Alpha Phi, but Alpha Gamma Delta like would still love to have you if you want to change your mind and like still go. And I was like, no thank you. And I was pretty bummed out. There are so many rumors about Greek life and like how you get in and whatever, and I did hear that if you do sign one of those forms that says that you don't want to go to bid night unless you get that one house, that kind of makes you an unfavorable person to put in a house, because I don't know, I guess they just want, I don't really know, I don't know why. To me that doesn't make sense, because to me I'd be like, wouldn't a house want you if they know that they are the only ones that you are interested in? But if you're going through the Greek life process, that might be something to consider, to not put only one house down. And throughout my sophomore year of college, I kept hearing that Delta Gamma was going to come to Cal Poly's campus. And one of my good friends at the time went to University of Arizona and was in Delta Gamma. She was enjoying her experience at the time and lived in the house there, and Delta Gamma is pretty widely known, I think, as a pretty good house. At this point, I felt like I had spent a lot of time thinking about Greek life, and I was like, okay, if this opportunity presents itself, I should be a part of like the founding class of Delta Gamma. They ended up coming to Cal Poly my winter quarter of my junior year. You know, I'm pretty deep into college at this point, but it had always been something that I had thought about and wished I had been a part of, and I decided to join. They had UC Santa Barbara Delta Gamma girls come and do the recruitment process, and there were a lot of Delta Gamma alums that led the whole thing, and it was like a mini rush experience, and I did get into Delta Gamma. I was pretty excited at first. I was definitely one of the older people there. There were a good amount of freshmen, sophomores, and then like a handful of juniors and maybe like 1 or 2 seniors, and a lot of the people my age had been transfer students, so it kind of made sense. They were new to the school and were looking to find a group on campus. So I went through the whole process. I became initiated and I was officially a DG. But this spring quarter, we had an incident at Cal Poly of one of the fraternities having a member dress in blackface, which was horrible. Honestly, that's something that unfortunately I feel like there's a lot of racism and discrimination in Greek life. Unfortunately, like I wish I could have been more mature to see that at the time and not been so caught up in wanting to be in a house and wanting to be a part of Greek life, because I think there are tons of really great people in it. I think there are a lot of people who are really caught up in just wanting to be popular and wanting to be a part of an exclusive group. Some people who really lack good morals, especially in the frats at Cal Poly. We've had a handful of scandals. Yeah, fraternities are a whole different story. For the most part, they don't have a great rep. I, of course, as a freshman and sophomore, loved going to the parties, had a great time, but there have definitely been lots of not great things that have happened. But because there was this blackface incident, Greek life was suspended for I think the rest of the year. So we still had meetings, but we weren't allowed to like have any events. I was somewhat attending the meetings, but I was already kind of not as into it as I had been, because ultimately like I had kind of joined just for the fun stuff. And at this point, all you were allowed to do was do like the meetings, and that was not really my thing. I don't know if meetings were really anyone's thing. And then when I started my senior year, I never went to another meeting again. I ultimately realized like it just wasn't for me. I was also a senior, and at this point I had already felt so established at Cal Poly, and I just didn't have that like want and need that I did my freshman and sophomore year. I had a great group of friends. I was a part of a club that I was really passionate about. I was really enjoying my major. I met a lot of cool people in my major, and I finally felt secure and content in what I had. And so I just realized that ultimately Greek life was not for me, and I don't think it ever fully was for me. I definitely think I would have enjoyed some of the benefits of it if I had joined earlier, some of the social aspects and being able to meet more people. I went to an all-girls high school, and I just have never enjoyed myself in large groups of girls. I personally get super overwhelmed, and I just don't feel like it's genuine when like I don't know someone and all of a sudden we're sisters, like, hey guys, I love you all. And I get it, people want to put themselves out there, meet new people, that's great. It's just not for me. Yeah, I'm just not the sorority type. I dropped out of Girl Scouts and brownies or whatever like so quickly. I was in 2nd grade like begging my mom not to make me go anymore. I was a part of NCL, which was like this female like charity league thing that my mom made me do for many years, and I hated it. I begged her to drop out. It was basically like being in a sorority in high school kind of thing. Everyone has an idea in their head of who they're going to be and what they're going to be in college, and I wanted to be a sorority girl. I wanted to feel super confident and be pretty and feel super popular, because that's not how I felt in high school. But in reality, that Greek life, 1, doesn't give you those things, and 2, it just wasn't for me, and it took me a really long time to realize that. I've had friends, and my sister is in a house and she loves it, and I've had friends who loved it, and I think it's great for some people, and for some people, it's just not their thing. Overall, I loved my college experience. I still would have loved to have added that experience maybe a little sooner in college, and I could have seen myself maybe being in a house for my freshman and sophomore year. Definitely think I would have dropped out because it's just not me. But like I've said, just the social aspect of it, I think I would have really enjoyed. But if you are going to Cal Poly and you're thinking about rushing, Greek life is not the only thing on campus. It is not like a southern school where it seems to dominate everything and your whole entire social life. You can get into parties, you can meet people. It's really not a huge thing at Cal Poly compared to a lot of schools. So don't feel the pressure that you have to join. As much as it's not the only way to be social and be involved at Cal Poly, it is a big part, and I think anyone who's not in it can feel a little left out unless you find a club or you get really involved in your major. It can be hard to find your place in college, and that's kind of the most obvious way I think a lot of people find to finding their place and finding their people, but there are many other ways. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Let me know if you guys have any questions about my experience and I can talk more about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow in my next video.